We weren't sure it was really going to happen, but here we are in Iran, Isfahan, Iran, to be exact. The first order of business is to check into the Abbasi Hotel. Besides being a very nice place, it claims to be the oldest hotel in the world. It was built about 300 years ago as a caravanserai. This is what it looked like in 1840. So there's a lot of history here. The Parthians and the Sasanians played a role in growing Isfahan from settlement to city. Isfahan flourished as the capital of two great dynasties, Seljuk from 1050 to 1200 and the Safavids from 1501 to 1736. In between, bad things happened here. The Mongols sacked the city once in 1226 and again in 1228. Tamerlane besieged the city in 1387. We met the Seljuks in Merv. They were Sunni Muslims that united the fractured Eastern Islamic world into a powerful empire centered in Isfahan. Many beautiful bridges span the Zayanda River, but the Shahrestan Bridge is the oldest, with foundations dating to the 3rd to the 7th century. What we see today is the result of an 11th century renovation. The building on the bridge is for the tax collector. We learn a lot about Islamic art and architecture at the Jameh Mosque. When the Seljuks arrived, a traditional Western Islamic mosque was on the site of the Jameh Mosque. This form, called the hypostyle, is characterized by rows of pillars supporting the roof. The Seljuks excelled in ornamentation using complex brick patterns. The Seljuks transformed the existing mosque into a 4-Iwan layout. An Iwan is a large vaulted space open at one end. It was a symbol of absolute authority and was used in audience halls in royal palaces. The Jameh Mosque has 4 Iwans, one on each side of a large courtyard. The Seljuks also introduced the large domed chamber into the mosques. The southern dome was completed in 1087. The northern dome was finished a year later in 1088. The mihrab niche is the visual focus inside the mosque. It indicates the direction of prayer toward Mecca. One of the treasures of the Jameh Mosque is this elaborately carved mihrab, commissioned in 1310 by the Mughal ruler Ojaitu. Muqarnas are ornamental vaulting in Islamic architecture. They divide a squinch, which is where the square of the room transitions to the round of the dome. Not to be confused with muqarabi, which are the ornamental details that hang down in vertical prisms like stalactites. The name Jameh Mosque refers to the main mosque of a city, where the faithful gather for Friday prayers. The supreme leaders keep a watchful eye on their citizens from the Iwan. After 300 years of destruction, invasion, and famine, the Safavid dynasty came to power. Shah Ismail I declared Shia the state religion, a legacy that persists today. Commerce was so important to the Safavids that Shah Abbas I effectively rerouted the Silk Road through Isfahan so that he could have a trading monopoly. This commerce required new infrastructure, so bridges were built. The first was the Siosi Bridge. Construction of the bridge of 33 arches began in 1599 and was complete by 1602. The Khaju Bridge was built in 1650 on the foundations of an older bridge. You're probably wondering what happened to the river. Isfahan has been suffering a drought for 8 years, and all the water in the river has been diverted for irrigation upstream. The bridge served as a roadway, a dam, and a place for public meetings. The main central aisle was used for horses and carts. Pedestrians used the vaulted paths on either side. Under the bridge is a good place to escape the heat. The bridge is considered one of the finest examples of Persian architecture. Under Abbas I, a 500,000 Armenians were relocated to Isfahan during the Ottoman Safavid War of 1603 to 18. Construction of the Vank Cathedral began in 1606 to serve the needs of the Armenian community. The cathedral has distinctive Islamic architecture on the exterior, but the interior is Orthodox Christian. Vivid frescoes cover the interior surfaces. The central dome depicts the biblical story of creation and man's expulsion from Eden. The most impressive fresco dominates an entire wall with a depiction of the apocalypse. Associated with the cathedral is a museum that documents the life and times of the Armenian community. The museum contains over 700 handwritten books. Several are illuminated manuscripts with gold ink and covers encrusted with semi-precious stones. And there are some unusual books, like this hymnal with an early musical notation. Naqshi Jahan Square translates to Image of the World Square. It's aptly named because the design brings together the three components of power in 17th century Persia: religion, commerce, and the Shah. Each of the four sides of the 520-foot by 1,840-foot rectangle are anchored by an institution. The Shah Mosque is on the south side. The Ali Qapu Palace is on the west. The Sheikh Latfala Mosque, the private mosque of the royal family, is on the east side. On the north side is Kasaria Gate, which opens into the Isfahan Grand Bazaar. In addition to the bazaar, the arcades between the major buildings contain shops. The Sheikh Latfala Mosque was started in 1603 and completed in 1619. It doesn't have any minarets because it was intended only for the use of the royal court. The single-shell dome is 43 feet in diameter and richly covered in tiles. The interior takes your breath away. A closer look reveals that almost all the interior is mosaic, even the elaborate calligraphy. The complex shapes in the mihrab in the Shah's private prayer hall are done entirely in mosaic. This is quite simply a mosque fit for a Shah. But the most exquisite element of this feast for the eyes is the dome. If you look closely, there's a stylized turquoise peacock in the center. The Shah Mosque, or as it's known after the Iranian Revolution, the Imam Mosque, was begun in 1611 and completed in 1629. The square doesn't line up with Mecca, so when you are entering the mosque, you go through a hallway that makes a half-right turn. You're now in the central square, surrounded by the four Iwans. The dimensions and the minarets announce that this mosque is for the people. In Persian mosques, tall minarets weren't considered suitable for the call to prayer. So a small building called a goldast was added to the west Iwan for this purpose. Using the 7-color tile that incorporates all the colors in one firing may have reduced cost and sped up construction, but it didn't take away from the aesthetics of the buildings. The leafy courtyard behind the mosque is for the madrasa, the religious school associated with the mosque. So commerce generated wealth, which the Shahs spent on mosques and wars. But they also built palaces. The Ali Qapu Palace is on the west side of the square. The name means imperial gate. From the portico on the 3rd floor, the Shah and his court could watch horse races and polo matches in the square. The walls are covered with elaborate floral paintings, not mosaics. Depictions of the human form were not prohibited, and a few frescoes have survived. On the sixth floor, the walls of the music room have deep circular niches. These are not only aesthetic, but have an acoustic effect. Shah Abbas II built Shahel Satoon, 40 columns, in 1660 to be used for his entertainment and to receive foreign dignitaries. The palace gets its name from the 20 columns, which when reflected in the pool make 40. The halls are decorated to impress the visitor with mirrored iwans and paintings of past wars and diplomatic missions. Frescoes on the exterior show courtiers in European dress. Hasht Behesht, meaning 8 paradises, was built in 1669, one of more than 40 mansions built during the Safavid rule. It's now the only one left. It sits in a cool, leafy park near our hotel. While it is in need of restoration, we can see the quality of the tile work and catch glimpses of the ornate ceilings through the windows. This brief visit, we've had only time for the major sites. There are many museums that we just haven't had time for. Isfahan is a modern, vibrant city of over 2 million people. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the food. It is very, very good. We had a little time left for shopping. We learned how the famous Persian miniatures are made. And this is the place for excellent quality saffron. I hope the political situation will allow us to come back and experience more of Isfahan.